We are live. Welcome to Juneteenth on H&D Abroad. I'm Dee. And look, we are resting today. Let's see if I can get this screen right. We are resting today. We are embracing our joy. And so if you are new here, welcome. I'm Dee, H&D Abroad. Thursdays is when I invite the sisters into the room. This is a strong feminine space. So whether you are male or female or something, that we just want this space to be a sacred self-care meeting space. So welcome. We are intentional about today because it is a blend, celebrating Juneteenth, as you can see, my Pan-African flag in the background, sisterhood, and someone that is quickly becoming a very good friend. Lynne, she and her husband have been on our channel before. They are a vital part of our community, but the ladies have asked for us to mix it up. So why not bring a mixologist for the culture and for the connection? That is what today's theme is. So Lynne, why don't you introduce yourself? And then we need to get started because I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just following along with you today.
Not a problem. Good evening, everyone. As Dee said, my name is Lynne. On YouTube, you can find me hanging out in a couple of places. Gen X Quench with my husband, Mondays with Mom, with my almost 90-year-old mom. I'm a caregiver to her. And one other place that I hang out on IG is at Quench Academy. So as Dee mentioned, I'm a mixologist. Not necessarily by training, kind of came into it late. My corporate career was in marketing and brand management, and that's how I spend most of my days. Have a 25 year in corporate brand management, marketing strategy. Left and started my own business about 3 years ago. So now I spend a lot of my days focused on coaching midlife professionals in personal branding and storytelling, doing marketing strategy for small businesses. And at the age of 48, I went to bartending school. It was, I did a vision board. It was one of those that a lot of us in midlife, late 40s, kind of look around and are rethinking everything and kind of feeling stale and stagnant. And there's got to be more than just getting up and going to work and taking care of the family and doing the things in the community. And did a vision board. And I've always been the one to play around in the kitchen, to play around with the bottles. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, so I say bourbon is already in my DNA. But I wanted to go to bartending school. I went to bartending school at the age of 48, and then kind of became the family mixologist, the friend mixologist, and have over the last several years done tastings, done demonstrations, things like that for corporate and for personal and small groups. So Dee, I thank you for the invite, and Juneteenth is a perfect opportunity to get down with some red drinks.
I asked, I was like, do you mind coming on for Juneteenth? Because, I went to Barbados. I bought myself some of this Sorrel liqueur from Barbados. So that's what I'm using. I decided to also buy a little bit of the Black Barrel rum. So okay. I was like, can you help me use some of this? I mean, like that's what friends are for. Thank you, Dionne Warwick. That is what friends are for. And she was like, I got a recipe for you. So I'm learning. We encourage you. I put the ingredients on our Instagram and Facebook pages. But if you want to quickly go over the ingredients for folks that may want to follow along and then take it away, because this is what we're doing today. She's going to teach me, and I'm going to see if I can follow directions well.
Well, this is what I'm calling this like Freedom Punch. And when Dee and I were kind of talking and conversing, I have some Sorrel liqueur as well, different brand. But it really is a hibiscus liqueur. And I really, whenever I make my cocktails, I always want to provide a mocktail option because I understand that everybody doesn't drink, can't drink. And really, if you were going to make this drink without any alcohol, go to your local grocery store, go and get hibiscus tea. That's the best opportunity, is that you could brew up some hibiscus tea and make a nice fancy tea drink, iced tea drink, that will be a great substitute and non-alcoholic. But for this, we're going to use sorrel. We're going to use dark rum. Now, I have, because we're celebrating all things Black, this is 10 to 1, a Caribbean dark rum. It's Black owned. So it is a dark rum, but I always, and I love my trusty Myers rum, which is another Jamaican dark rum. Now, the difference between a dark rum and a regular rum, white rum is not aged as long and usually aged in stainless steel tanks, whereas dark rums are usually aged longer, 3 to 5 years, in oak barrels. So that's what gives
this
it
one
its
says
color.
Black barrel, so great.
Yes. Yeah, that's what gives it its color, but it also brings out the spices. So molasses and taste of vanilla and darker spices, which, if you know anything about this hibiscus and sorrel, that's what, if you were to make it, I think there are recipes where you can make your own, but it has cinnamon, nutmeg,
allspice, all that.
Allspice, right, clove, and that type of thing. So we're going to make, so these make a nice pairing. We're going to use lime juice. I like using fresh limes, but if you have something that's already pre-squeezed, that works too. Some type of sweetener. I've got agave, but if whenever you're making a cocktail and you see something that says a sweetener, you can use agave, honey, maple syrup. You can make your own simple syrup, which is 1 cup white sugar, 1 cup water, put it on the stove, and it'll cool it down. It'll keep in the refrigerator for a couple of weeks. Another thing that's a kind of pro tip, you can use brown sugar and make a brown sugar simple syrup. So one tip, that if you're making a non-alcoholic version, you might want to make a spiced simple syrup. So 1 cup sugar, 1 cup water, add in a cinnamon stick, some cloves and some nutmegs, and then you have a spiced simple syrup that you can use with your hibiscus tea.
I don't want to miss the opportunity, because you're talking herbs, and herbs are healing. Yes. And for those of us who are on a journey to be better, like, we can count that in the be better category when we're adding things like cinnamon and allspice and cloves. So, I mean, a little bit of sin with a little bit of pleasure. So
that's right. And then I think the only other ingredients that we need are bitters, Angostura bitters. Bitters, as when I was in bartending school, it's explained to me as it's the seasoning for your cocktail. It's like the salt and pepper. So usually you only need 1 or 2 shakes. You'll use these potentially in things like Manhattan, Old Fashioned. They come in, this is like the mainstay, but there's orange bitters, there's chocolate bitters, there's black walnut bitters. So they come in different flavors, and just a couple of shakes to kind of balance out your drink. And then I've got ginger beer, since we're keeping with the spiced flavors. So, and ginger beer is non-alcoholic. People might think that they don't let the beer fool you, ginger beer, but you can also use a club soda or sparkling, but just to give a little bit of bubbles.
Perfect.
So that's what we're playing with. You ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right.
As ready as I can be. So what am I? Okay. So I don't have a shaker.
Okay. What you got?
I can see these mason glasses coming out. I learned from, I need to come up with a name for Chat GPT that's like a sister. Sister girl said that I could use mason jar if I did not have a shaker, and just to shake vigorously. So
right, that works. And that is a great tip, that if you don't have a cocktail shaker, as long as you have something with a lid, Even I kind of put some ice in my husband's FAMU cup, but anything that at least just has a lid and can be shaked works as a shaker.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do, put ice in your mason jar shaker.
Okay, we start with the ice, okay? Let's see. My assistant is supposed to have my ice ready.
You can start opening your liqueur. I think you said that you hadn't opened it yet.
Right. Okay, so this is my Sorrel liqueur from Barbados. I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah. So.
And do you have a measuring? You have a jigger or something to measure with?
If you can give me fourth a cup, half a cup, a teaspoon equivalent,
okay,
I can hang with you.
Okay. 1 ounce is 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
And we are going to use 2 ounces of the hibiscus liqueur, so 4 tablespoons.
Do I need to agitate this at all?
I don't think so. Does it look like it has anything that's settled in it?
It's a little.
Should be pretty mixed up pretty well.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Okay, great. All right. So you said 2 tablespoons?
4 tablespoons. 2
4
ounces.
tablespoons. How much ice? Did you tell me how much ice I need to put in there?
You can do it midway. We're going to be adding some things, but enough to put about halfway.
Okay.
Do you have another drink? Are you shaking and drinking from that?
No, I have something else to drink it out of because I know I've got to strain it. All right, and you said 2 tablespoons. We ready for that?
So 4 tablespoons of the liqueur.
4 tablespoons, okay. 2. How many servings should this make?
1. So if you want more, double.
Okay.
2 ounces is pretty much the standard pour for alcohol.
Oh, that smells so good.
It does.
Okay.
Now,
what's next?
1.5 ounces of dark rum.
Okay.
So that's 3 tablespoons for you. Now, one thing that I'm probably going backwards, but I'm doing this, but if you are new to cocktail and mixology, you may want to start with the non-alcoholic ingredients first sometimes if you're not overly confident, because if you make a mistake later on, it's better if you make a mistake with limes or the lower cost than have to, throw this out. But this is pretty straightforward and simple. So I think we're going to be okay.
Okay.
Now, lime. We are going to take, it's 3/4 of an ounce, which typically is roughly close to, these are kind of small, but rough for approximation, 1 lime is about 1 ounce. So I just say you can either squeeze it and measure it, but for purposes, of lime, we're just going to say the juice of 1 lime.
Okay.
But what we're going for, if you're really trying to get measurements, is 3/4 of an ounce.
Okay.
So usually if you just want a regular size lime is roughly 1 ounce of juice. A regular size lemon is about 2 ounces of juice, or big lemon. This won't really get it off if we're a little bit over or a little bit under, but the juice of 1 lime. And when possible for making cocktails, always use fresh if you can, fresh citrus.
Why mixology?
It was something that I just always was excited about. I was the one that just played around with the rum punches and the cocktails and that type of thing. And so I don't know. That was something that I always sort of had an affinity towards. I think it's also, I was an engineer and I studied engineering in school. And I really believe that mixology appeals to both left brain and right brain.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we're talking about all these measurements, there's actually, we're going to be shaking, there's physics, there's chemistry involved. And then the other part is you're making something pretty. You're making a pretty drink and you're garnishing it. So that appeals to anybody that is more artistic. So I always think that mixology is just for everyone, even if you're not a drinker.
Okay.
There's something to be gained. How are you coming along? Got your limes?
Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit more lime because I like that kick.
And that's the beauty of making your own drinks. You can customize it to however you want.
All right, I got my agave ready because I think I saw you.
Yep, 1/2 ounce, unless you lean a little bit wanting sweeter, but about 1/2 ounce is sufficient. This drink kind of has a sweet tart kind of taste with the lime and even the hibiscus liqueur.
Okay, I totally forgot. Yeah, I don't have any nails to get that off of there. See, that's why you have a sous chef. So you said 1.5. So would that be like a little over 1 tablespoon?
1/2 ounce, about 1 tablespoon.
Okay. I might use honey the next time. I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm. Honey, even a maple syrup would probably be good with this.
That was what we were supposed to have gotten, was maple syrup. Let's see. So what you are describing, I mean, like the maple syrup is sweet plus that it gives that darkening. So
right.
Yeah, I can see how you could play with this a lot.
Right. And that's kind of universal. It's like you could actually make this drink like with rum, you could make it with bourbon, you could make it. So a lot of things from mixology, which was kind of why I went to bartending school. I was like, what's the formula? And once you kind of know the formula, you can do some different swaps. So you can swap potentially rum for bourbon or tequila. You can switch agave for honey or maple syrup or brown sugar simple syrup. And you could swap a lime for lemon in some cases. Now, that doesn't mean that all these combinations will taste good, but
you can try.
You can try. It gives you a balance. So this is everything we need. Your cocktail shake.
Except for my bitters?
Yeah, we want to put those in too. You're right.
Okay. I'm using it and then moving it to the side. So
right, good for you. I've got them on both sides, but 2 shakes.
2 shakes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to shake it up because I don't know if that matters. Okay.
It's not much, but just a couple of shakes of bitters is all you need.
Okay. I'm guessing.
And then we shake until it's cold and you're in a glass, but it still should be cold to the touch.
Okay.
Oh, look at that color.
It's beautiful.
Now take a fresh glass. I'm using a rocks glass. I think you've got.
And I'm using a mason jar for the culture. If you are from the South, you know there was a restaurant called Po Folks.
Yes.
And yeah, you would drinking out of a mason glass was customary in the restaurant. Let's see.
And then strain it out in the glass.
Excellent.
And it should come almost to the top. And then take ginger beer, sparkling water, club soda, whatever you have. Top it off. Okay. And give it a little bit of a shake. If you still have another lime left.
Yeah, I left half of it so I could garnish.
That's right. So you can use either a wedge or a wheel. Another one that would be nice addition is if you had mint, something fragrant.
Yes.
Would be a nice way to also put something, but you can put that on the side of the glass.
Okay, so bartend, let's see, hold on just a second before I forget. How much of I chose club soda.
Just splash whatever it is to fill it up to the top. You don't
Okay,
want
that's
to
what I thought I
necessarily
heard you say.
dilute it, but that's another. If you're not a heavy drinker or don't like the taste of alcohol, that's, things like ginger beer, club soda, sparkling water, that helps kind of balance and dilute it and take away some of the alcohol taste. So those are other things. So when they say a splash, it's basically more eyeballing and more to taste and that type of thing. But that is our punch.
Okay, so putting a little, because I'm gonna make it pretty, even though it's
That's right.
a mason jar. Hey, I did it! My first cocktail. Now I was gonna take a master class, cocktail making class, at the Mount Gay Distillery.
Mm-hmm.
Months in advance, you need to do that. Months in advance. So be warned. Classes are pretty expensive, but cheers to you if you want to try on camera. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, okay. So florals.
And tart,
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say that definitely. Let's see. So the sorrel gives it the floral taste. I
Right.
added a little bit more lime. I'm glad I did because I like that sour that
Yep.
lime gives. Probably should have used a little bit less of the club soda because I
Mm.
feel like I might miss out a little bit on well, rum is delicious. And I don't know if I can taste the bitters.
No, you probably can't. And you
Okay.
can't, and I mean, that's really, it's almost like, when people use salt to season to bring out the flavors as opposed to making something salty, that's kind of the role of the bitters. So it's sort of one of those things that if you made this drink without bitters and you made
Yeah.
it with, it would be a little bit more balanced. It wouldn't be dramatically different, but there would be something different about it that probably the one with the bitters would taste a little bit better to you.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't really be with a couple of shakes, you're not going to be able to taste it, but it's just something to kind of like bring out the flavors of everything else.
Like salt brings
Right,
out the flavor.
exactly.
Yeah, in the sweet. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're going to continue to drink and talk about our topic today. If you have made a cocktail, and because we've got folks in the chat, hold on. Let me say hello, hello. Hello, Prophet Mother. Hello, Carla Butler. Hello, Tracy Clark. Hello, Black expats in Panama. Charlotte, you know this. You know, we're going to have this as one of the social classes in Panama. We are coming back in November. We're actually going to be taking a look at some neighborhoods while we're there. Hello, Cheryl, PhD. Welcome, welcome. Yes, the sisterhood is here. Hello, Crystal Newman. You know, I feel like this is the time in my life where learning something new, being in a space where I don't have to be an expert, I can laugh at myself, I can laugh doing something new. It gives me such energetically space to get to know myself, and getting to know other people is a little bit easier for somebody like me that feels challenged, has felt challenged in the past making friends. You have taught these mixology classes. Have they been virtual or in person? How do you see people loosen up or connect during experiences like this?
I've done both. Did more virtual than in person. And virtual is, I mean, people do loosen up because I think it's everybody can still relate. Even if you're not a drinker, just watching somebody make a drink, it brings to mind like what's your favorite drink. So if somebody doesn't like rum, they may like somebody else. Because I see Prophet Mother says, I love a mojito. So it brings out the fact that, oh, I don't like lime, I like lemon. People always want to add their 2 cents. Oh, I remember when I was traveling and I had this one drink and it's been my favorite drink. So I think that it is still kind of a universal language as far as when, you're making a drink, somebody can identify with it. It takes them to a place, to a time when they had a beverage, or it takes them to a place that if they're not a drinker, it's like, well, you know what? I don't drink, but I really like this strawberry lemonade. And, maybe I need to get it and not put it in a red Solo cup, but put it in a pretty glass and get a garnish and that type of thing. So it does open up the door for people to share their experiences.
It does. I mean, this is, paint by number, what do you call it? Paint and sips.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the rage now. When I say all the rage, Lord, how badly did I date myself with saying that? But I mean, it's really popular for people to learn a new thing. But it's also one strategy if you feel like, hey, I don't know, I don't know new people, and you and I are both on a path to moving abroad.
Intruder.
On a path. You're not supposed to be in the screen, Joyce.
Salud. Happy Juneteenth.
PSA, check us out on Gen X Foot.
When you get my Cool Whip out of the freezer, please. So I just feel like whatever the door that you can open, mine is crafts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tracy said amaretto sour. Come on now. I just started trying sours, my new favorite, until I found out there were, egg whites. I was like, oh no, but those sours were very good.
The eggs, and you don't have to have a sour with egg white. And the other thing, if you are vegan or don't like the idea of egg white, chickpeas, garbanzo beans. Buy a can of garbanzo beans, drain them, the liquid from garbanzo beans.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
It will froth up if you shake it, and you can use it like an egg white. So that's how vegan who don't want animal products avoid the egg white, and you can make it with, there's a name for it. It escapes me.
Aquafaba.
That's it.
Yeah, it's aquafaba. Yes. Mm-hmm. I tried it because I wanted to try it, wanted to make it when I got back home, because one of the ladies that I met on the Barbados trip, we meet every first Friday.
Okay.
We attempt to make our own cocktails. She is getting this cocktail. We are going to make this cocktail together the day before 4th of July. So I love it. It's something I have never done before, but I feel like trying the drinks and the foods that are local to the places that we're visiting gives me an additional connection. Mount Gay rum, the Mount Gay plantations in Barbados, they are very proud of what they distribute. But we got a chance to visit some of those locations, and tears. Recognizing we worked those sugarcane fields in the hot sun, land that had been theirs was commandeered by others, and they were made to work the land for the benefit of others. I feel like when we do things like this, we're taking those things back. So we made a red drink together today. I asked Lynne to think about, like, when today is usually a day that folks gather for, a family get together, getting together with friends. What were some of those memories growing up? because like you mentioned your people liking to watch you make the drinks. And I remember it struck a memory in me watching my grandmother, my mom's mother, making Thanksgiving dinner and just being amazed, watching how she could tell that the pie was done with her nose and not necessarily opening, just things that you pick up from that. What memories do you have of family gatherings? What does this process evoke memory-wise for you?
We had a very small family. My mom was the only child. My dad just had one brother. But my mom's mom was the grandmother that me and my sister were closest to, the family. And she had a back porch. You entered her house nobody came through the front door. You went through the back. And the porch was screened in and it went into the kitchen and the kitchen door was open. And you hit that back gate and you could smell the fried chicken. I remember those like summertime where, we would go to church, go home, change clothes, go to her house, and you could smell, we'd call her, mom would call her on the way saying, hey, we just left the house. And she would start frying the chicken. The green beans would be there. There would be a peach cobbler or that type of thing. And so I think that's a similar upbringing to a lot of people as far as family gatherings and food. And especially when you're little, those memories are just memories, but they mean so much more now that you're older.
Yeah.
As far as, and I know a lot of people have those family recipes that unfortunately they died with the grandparents and great grandparents. And you don't know how, and now it's like, dang, I wish I knew how to make such and such. Because my grandmother made a corn pudding and my best friend from college would come home with me. And my grandmother gave her the recipe, told her verbally the recipe. And my best friend was like, I can't get it right. I can't get it right. Something's missing. And my grandmother was still alive. My best friend came and my grandmother said, hey, can you go in the refrigerator and get me some water? And she went to the refrigerator, opened the door and screamed. And we were all like, what is it? And she said, that's it. My grandmother had told her to use 3 eggs or whatever in the recipe. My grandmother bought jumbo eggs. My best friend had been using large eggs. And she said she went home, made the recipe, added a couple of more eggs, that type of thing. And it's kind of that thing about, for granted that if she had never opened up that refrigerator, and my grandmother just took it for granted that everybody doesn't buy jumbo eggs.
Right.
That's all that she used. And that probably was her secret ingredient in any of her recipes that had eggs in it, because she was adding more egg than the rest of us were.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a recipe. I have watched my mother make yeast rolls for years. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. They just will not rise. So I have tried replicating it. I've tried many. So Herman makes cinnamon rolls. And my favorite of his cinnamon rolls is his blueberry lemon cinnamon rolls. And he was like, he had been putting them, a variety of different pans, but he used a tin pan. And he was like, that's it. I'll never make the yeast rolls in any other pan because of, it has a second rise. And he was like, I just got so much more in that, just tweaking those recipes. But you're saying something that I think a lot of us miss. And that is that we're not sharing. We're actually not sharing those family recipes, and they're leaving with our family members when they pass. And that is such a loss.
Right.
I never asked.
More than the recipe, it's the community of family as well.
Yes.
And that's family, that's blood family. Because, we grew up with a whole lot of aunts so-and-so who were my grandmother's friend. They weren't related by blood.
Right.
But Aunt Ella, Miss Lassie, these ladies that were there from, our beginning and helped raise us, but
Yeah.
didn't have any blood. And I think that, especially on a day like Juneteenth, where we're talking about freedom and family and resilience and that type of thing, it is, it's sad that we've lost that. But I think that there is kind of a modern day, because of the environment that we're living in. I think people are hungry for that community once again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you have not watched High on the Hog, it is a cultural presentation put together by Satterfield. What's his first name? High on the Hog. Steven Satterfield. Yeah. Great presentation on Netflix. And just he starts on the continent of Africa in Benin, and just kind of talks about the cultural history, and then comes to the US and talks about and literally talks to people who are attempting to preserve the local food ways, and he's able to help us connect these things, the way that we cook things, the way that we pair them is not divided by the ocean. We brought those seeds, we brought that knowledge with us, and it's showing up in so many different ways. So ask your people, how do you make this? Because I was bringing up my grandmother and and Thanksgiving, because I was working for the IRS during tax season, as you can pick up work, and we would have a potluck for Thanksgiving, and one of the ladies that I knew made dressing, and this was maybe a year or two after I lost my grandmother, and her dressing tasted exactly like my grandmother's. And so boldly, I went to her and said, "Can you write down the recipe?" You know what she said, Lynn. What'd she say?
Did she say? I hope she said yes.
She said yes, but baby, I don't measure. I don't measure. So I can give you a recipe, but I don't measure nothing. You know, we don't measure nothing. So she has a pinch of this and a dash of that, but it gave me something to start with. It gave me something to start with. So this is a time in my life, and I'm mentioning Panama because I love how Charlotte takes us to Cologne, that she's like, look, these places are not just beautiful places to move to, but these places have cultural heritage that is connected to us. And I literally am now seeking those experiences out as I'm exploring places as a, what do you call that? A married solo traveler, but also as we are, finding the places that we're going to move to, that's what I'm hungry for. Is we have a culture of travel, of migration, but we are building a bridge from what we know to where we're going. So we're able to take that knowledge with us. Yes. Oh, come on, Carla. All right, Carla.
That's my sister.
To talk about corn pudding.
I haven't tried it. So my best friend, and that's my sister. Okay. They got it down. So at least it's still in the family.
Yes. While we are talking, I'm actually making. What's that? Oh, you like that? Oh, yeah. Yes, ma'am. All right. I am making a dish, and I'm calling it a dish. My dad's mother, her sisters, and her mother, my great-grandmother, had the tradition of, don't get ready, be ready. So I'm a child of the 70s. So if you think about your grandparents' house, most of the people that I knew, their grandmother had a deep freezer somewhere. Deep freezer in the kitchen, deep freezer on the front porch. Each of them had one of those. And that was where
my grandmother's in the basement.
Okay, in the basement. It had the popsicles. So she would tell us we could go get our popsicles out of the deep freezer. My mom has a deep freezer. My niece and nephew and our kids have always known that they can go in grandma's deep freezer. But that's where they would keep the peas that they would shell, the corn that they would shuck during the summertime. And they would freeze it in individual little bags and keep it in the freezer, because there was never a time when I was growing up that somebody would come into town or someone would visit the church for the first time and she wouldn't walk up and say, "Do you have a place to eat? You can come to my house." And she would just pull stuff out the freezer. And so one of the things, and I knew that she did that, but also I experienced it. My aunt, my great aunt, Janie. So I lost my great grandmother. She passed at 105 10 years ago. And I had seen them do this for other people. But when I went to California, my aunt did it for me, and she made an icebox pie. So that's what I'm doing, is strawberry icebox pie with a graham cracker crust. Now, I live in the house of a chef who was like, "What do you mean you're not making homemade whipped cream? You know it only takes 5 minutes." But that's not how we made it. That's not how they made it. They kept Cool Whip in the house, and they always had some kind of berries, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, frozen and cut so that they could, leave it out on the counter. It would melt a little bit, and then they would combine a little bit of lemon. They cut, give me a little bit. I can do, well, you know what? Give me a little bit of stevia. And that way I can just have some drops in that cabinet. And so they would just put a little bit of, quarter strawberries, muddle some of them, so add a little bit of lemon, whipped cream. Now, I don't know if they put vanilla in there, but the Southern Pies book suggested that I add a little bit of vanilla. So this is fresh vanilla that my friend makes. And then I'm going to add a little bit.
Measuring anything?
What's that?
You're not measuring anything.
Oh, no, that looked good. Hey, I'm trying to stay with the tradition. Now, they didn't add stevia, but I'm going to add a little bit of stevia because, I want it to be sweet, and stevia can be very sweet. So I only need to add a few drops, and then you just fold it in. So I've got a big tub of whipped cream, and I'm just folding it together. And it smells good. I'll know how much whipped cream when I see it. But they would just whip stuff like this together. And you would think, as a guest, you'd be like, "Man, you prepared for me?" And they were just like, "No, they would always just have these kind of things." Because my aunt she didn't think we were coming over. She didn't think she was going to host some college students, but we were in town. We were at church. She was like, "What are you doing here? Why didn't you tell me you were coming? I'm sorry." And she said, "Come to dinner." And so that's what we did. Myself and probably about 4 or 5 of my college friends that were in town, we were singing with our choir. And I was like, okay, so she whipped up something. I don't even remember what we ate, but it was good. It fed the hungry college student. And then she pulled out this icebox pie and sat it in the middle of the table. Now, she was a talker like all the women in my family are. And before I knew it, it was like 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. And she pulled this, it may have been about 8 or 9. And so she pulled this pie out that she literally whipped this up and put it in the freezer while she was warming up the food that she had. And then I'm going to pour this, I don't know if you can see, just a little whipped topping. And then she just put it in the freezer and let it sit for a couple of hours. You can even do it overnight. If you do an icebox pie overnight, make sure you take it out a little bit before so that it'll be easier to cut. And I squeeze a little bit of lemon in, and so you got the little bit of the tang of the lemon, and then the sweet you can use a little bit of sugar or a little bit of stevia, and then of course the whipped cream. You can if you are making whipped cream is not difficult. I just did not want to do that while I was on camera. This is Lynne helping me, and I just wanted to be doing something while we were together. But baby, this pie is so easy and it's so pretty. I love strawberries. I also love strawberries because strawberries were my dad's favorite. And so
and it's fitting today because they're red. So
and we're doing it today because it's red. So the red, the black, and the green. Red for the blood, black for the people, green for the earth. We are people that appreciate nature, but also protecting it. And I feel like that is a part of our freedom. How does the idea of freedom resonate with you today, Lynne?
I think, and we had this conversation when we talked a little while ago, as far as freedom, is that I think we're in this place of newfound freedom or seeking freedom again. Mm-hmm. So when you think about the enslaved did not have the power to, get their own freedom or make the decisions that they wanted to with their life because we were, the property of someone else. Mm-hmm. And now I think when you think about freedom, so many people are seeking freedom in the sense of probably maybe the singular versus the plural, freedoms. So we're looking for financial freedom. We're looking for, health freedom. We're looking for peace freedom, mm-hmm. That type of thing. And I think now, and especially, I know your channel, we have kinship because both of us and our husbands are interested in traveling, potentially living abroad, an mm-hmm. easier life. And I think that's what this season, as far as like freedom now, is being healthy, being happy, being at peace, and we have all of that power within us. We have that free will to make those decisions to get to that life that we want to live. Yeah. And that's what I tell like a lot of coaching clients and stuff like that, there's so many things that you feel like you can't do, mm-hmm. but in a sense, that's kind of almost the enslavement of your mind. Our mind is full of all these limiting thoughts. And that is the biggest, freedom breakthrough is releasing all of those limiting thoughts. Yes. Because, when I went to bartending school at the age of 48, I didn't really tell a whole lot of people, but when I posted that I had finished the class, I really thought people would be excited about the bartending school. But what I got was more, you're so brave. You're, I admire you for doing that. I've always wanted to do something and never did. You're giving me the confidence that I can go do it. And I think that's the freedom that in 2025, that we really have to grasp hold of, is that those things that we really want to do, that life that we really want to live,
Yes.
go for it.
Choice
Right.
is what I feel like freedom beckons us toward, is that you can choose. To hear someone say, I can't retire early because I have bills, I can't travel because I have bills, and I was just like, you letting something like owing somebody put a foot on your neck that will prevent you from experiencing joy, taking a break, having unjustified rest. That is your choice. I can take a break. I can literally breathe, walk outside, and see that there's more than one way to do what I'm responsible for doing. I'm definitely not telling people to, turn their backs and, be
Live a life of
irresponsible.
abandonment. No, we're not talking about wild, childish abandonment, especially not at this age. We know too much.
Right. Right. And I feel like one of the things that I'm fighting against at this big age, over 50, is the rugged individualism that seemed to be valued, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. So that rugged individualism is a core value of this country. I didn't come from that. I came from a culture of community, a culture of connection, of not just not just being vulnerable and asking for help, but being willing to come alongside to help and support. And I feel like that is the win of friendship. It is that I have a need for others that is not weakness. Being able to say, one of the ladies I'm working with, we have a little bit of downtime as we're moving from space to space at my job. And so I'll drop little comments because my friends will, from all over the world will ping me and say, hope you're having a good day. Here's an article. And she was, so she started asking me about, my friends. And I was like, yeah. And she was in awe, like in awe. Your friends live not just in this community, but are everywhere. And I was like, yeah, that's normal for me. I have made that normal for me. But friendship took some work, took some practice, and is an investment that I am so thankful for. And especially when you and I got together, I was just like, go on, Jice, go on. This me and Lynne. We have some rapport, and I really want to have more time so that I can invest in that kind of experience for myself.
I think technology has made that so much easier, is that I'm with you. And I talked to Jice about that I want to be in community with people. It does not necessarily mean a crowd. It's not a quantity thing.
Right.
It's a quality thing. And the friendship and the community, and now more than ever, I am building relationships with people that I've never met in real life. And it's just the Zoom screen in between us that I have an accountability partner in Dallas. I have another one in Little Rock. I have you. I have a coach friend in New York City. All of these people that, I've never met in real life. And one day I hope to hug their necks.
Yes.
But we will get together. We will text. we will get on a Zoom and pick up like we've known each other for years.
Yes. Can't believe we've never met. That kind of thing.
And it's such a good feeling.
It is.
It is, because we're also taught stranger danger. That people that we're taught to be afraid of people we don't know. And it's a weird dynamic, because how will you not be a stranger if I don't talk to you? And there has to be some level of discernment, but it's a weird dynamic where I'm kind of like, I think Shonda Rhimes wrote a book several years ago, The Year of Yes. And
come on, hold on. Don't y'all miss the Year of Yes. Because there is a sticky note on my computer that says, I will say yes to everything that scares me, because of Shonda Rhimes in that book.
You're good. I don't know if I'm saying yes to everything.
Not everything, but it's a slow process that is expanding.
That book is eye-opening, and every woman of a certain age really should read it, because we have been, especially our generation, has been somewhat taught to, this is the path, is a distraction. People are not out for your own good. They're out to get something from you.
Right.
And we're so attuned to, like, let me not say yes, let me say no, I don't want to talk to you, that type of thing. And that book is eye-opening. So I definitely recommend it as reading, as far as like, saying yes to, for you, every experience that scares you. For me, almost every experience that scares me.
I embraced what she said and put it on there. I was like, girl, be true to you.
Right. But there's still a Holy Spirit inside me that's giving me some discernment, as far as like, yes and no. Okay, we're gonna go yes today. But if the vibe is off, still might be a no. Maybe a slow no as opposed to a fast no.
Yes. I'm in this space, in the Juneteenth freedom space. I think we owe it to ourselves to connect. I'm going to say this here. First of all, I want to say hello to FKBN. Thank you for joining. And I think I saw somebody else. This sister space is, Sharice, welcome. This sister space is vitally important to me as I enter, as I deepen my entry into perimenopause. We have been very quiet about our struggles. Sisterhood has made me realize I am not alone, and the tips and the cures and the things I should be paying attention to have come because the sisters gather, the sisters share. I would not have access to this, my newest doctor, if another sister hadn't said, this doctor has helped me. I think they can help you.
That's great.
When you're out here trying to struggle alone, your rugged individualism, I can research my way to freedom, a cure, whatever. Don't spin your wheels. We're not out here recreating the wheel. We are actually learning and growing together. And to have a sisterhood that cheers for you, that says, look, we all are in this together, and then we're finding ways to celebrate ourselves and celebrate each other. I feel a calling toward that, especially as I age. And the more that I give way to the idea of what does connection mean? Initially, I was just like, yeah, I need to go to the continent so I can feel connected. And I was like, but you're not connecting where you are. That's going to be a hard rub for you, man. Start where you are and grow. Any last parting words of advice? If the ladies would like to see Mixology Mondays, We can go between our channels, whatever, sister. If y'all would like to see some more of this, if you'd like, Prophet Mother who says, I like mojitos, maybe I'll make the virgin mojito and Lynn can show you us how to make a very good, very correct mojito.
Leaded and unleaded.
Yes. Lynn?
I see some of my buddies. So shout out to Sharice, a very dear sister friend, and Flora. Good to see you. I'm looking at the comments. So I think just my final word is, everybody has a story, and I think we need to tell our stories, and we get to choose the parts of the stories that we want to share. Yes. But so many times we feel like you're the only one and the feelings that you have, and no one's going to be interested, and I'm so boring and that type of thing. But I really am encouraging people, my peers, people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s to share their stories, because I listened to the stories when I was in my 20s. I listened to the stories of people that were in their 40s and 50s, and boy, you blink and here we are. And I just think it's like what you said with community. 1 + 1 = 3. If you need something, chances are somebody out there has experienced it and has a resource for you. If you're going through something by yourself, somebody else has done it. A church that we used to attend, there was a guy there, and he would always say, there's nothing new under the sun. Yes. And when we were younger, me and Jice would laugh about it, but we find ourselves saying it now that he's right. There's nothing new under the sun. And so my word is that, for me, it was going to bartending school at the age of 48. For you, it might be somebody might want to go to pastry school. Somebody might want to go, to nail school and learn how to get their nails done. Don't let the box that you're in, like, oh, I got this college degree. I've got this, house in the suburbs. I've got this high paying job, but I've always wanted to be a blank. And that's my advice. I was like, we're getting to that age where we got more, yesterdays than tomorrow. So the clock is ticking. So go for it. What's the worst that can happen? You succeed, or it doesn't work out, but at least you tried. So, my favorite saying is from Zora Neale Hurston, and it says, I believe it's in Their Eyes Were Watching God. Mama exhorted her children at every turn to jump at the sun. Yeah. We may not land at the sun, but at least our feet would get off the ground. And that's where that's my mantra. I was like, I'm going to jump at the sun every chance I get. Absolutely. Might not reach it, but these feet are going to leave the ground at least for a second.
Okay, so I added some strawberries to the top of my pie. So there's my pie. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, go take my walk in the neighborhood so I have good blood sugar levels before I partake. But don't sleep on this recipe. Let's see, what I know is in the description of this video is a link to Quench Academy. There is a link to Jeanette's Quench, their YouTube channel. Oh, y'all did a new video. Y'all uploaded a new video
today.
What was the name of it? Do you remember?
It was an interview with a friend of ours who retired at 55 in Panama. That's the latest video that we did today. It's excellent for any Black woman that is thinking about living abroad, even if it's not Panama, the process that she went through and just kind of like her life in Panama, it's definitely worth a watch and a listen. So yeah, absolutely. Because we're on that journey too of exploring. It's a big old world out there.
I'll make sure that I put the ingredients now that I have the measurements, I will put the ingredients and measurements in the description. You can see the ingredient list on our Instagram page, either on either of our let's see. I think you all are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Quench
it's on my
Academy
IG.
on Instagram.
Right.
So it's on there as well. I tell you, food and good drinks will bring folks together. I hope that you will embrace your red drinks, your, let's see, what else? Red velvet cake is another traditional, let's see, pound cake, cornbread, Herman's made black eyed peas. You know, that's not just for the new year.
I think from Texas, I think there's a barbecue been to it as far as for Juneteenth.
Yes.
Because of Juneteenth and Galveston and Texas.
He wants me to tell y'all he made barbecue chicken. I don't care about no barbecue chicken. I ain't eating no meat. But I'm going to enjoy that he enjoyed it. Yes, the husbands were in the chat. We don't care if y'all think that we're running from y'all. We have our own place and space in this world. That is what.
I would appreciate them.
What this Thursday is for. I am so glad you said yes, Lynn. Let's see. I see a lot of good comments. Okay, so Jai said Lynn can make grape jelly and a very good pound cake. So when we are friends and neighbors, I would like for that to be.
I will make that happen.
Yes, she said. Let's see. So Flora said added simple syrup and tequila to my iced tea. Come on now. Come on now. Absolutely. So we are celebrating today, but as I said on Instagram, it's 365 freedom. It's 365 Black. It's not Black History. It's not a month. We are living and creating the history and the legacy for those that we have influence with. Other folks are watching. Best believe people are watching. You may not recognize the impact that you're having, but you could be inspiring someone when you are doing a new thing. And so I thank you, Lynn, for sharing your newest thing with us today. So thanks, everybody. Bye for now.